Let me begin with a question that may feel uncomfortable. Have you ever noticed a person who speaks of their special qualities, who hints at their intelligence or sensitivity, yet somehow always chooses to remain in circles where they are the most accomplished person present, not occasionally, consistently? At first glance, you might think this is confidence, but I would invite you to look again. Because in my experience, when a vulnerable narcissistic personality repeatedly surrounds itself with people of lower achievement, something very precise is happening. It is not accidental. It is not simple preference. It is protection. Let us examine this slowly. The vulnerable narcissistic personality is built on a contradiction. On the surface, there may be modesty, even visible insecurity. They may speak of their doubts. They may appear sensitive, easily hurt, even self-critical. But beneath that surface lives a powerful inner conviction, a belief that they are exceptional, that they deserve recognition, that they are, in some way, superior. Now imagine what happens when such a person enters a room full of highly accomplished, disciplined, confident individuals. Pause for a moment and picture it. In that room, they are no longer the most intelligent voice. They are no longer the most accomplished story. They are no longer the center of admiration. What arises? Comparison, envy, shame. And these are not mild experiences for them. They are intense, almost overwhelming. For a psychologically secure individual, being around high achievers can be stimulating. It can awaken ambition. It can create admiration. It can even inspire growth. But for the vulnerable narcissistic personality, it threatens the entire internal structure. Why? Because it collides with two opposing forces inside them, the fantasy of specialness and the fear of inadequacy. When they stand next to someone clearly more accomplished, the fantasy cracks. And when the fantasy cracks, shame floods in. That tension is almost unbearable. So what does the mind do when it cannot tolerate a feeling? It avoids the situation that produces it. This is why you may see such a person repeatedly choose social and professional environments where they are slightly above the average, not dramatically superior, just enough to feel secure. When they are the most accomplished person in the room, even by a small margin, something inside them relaxes, their fragile self-esteem stabilizes, the threat of exposure decreases. But notice something important. This is not about growth. It is about avoiding shame. And here we come to a deeper layer. Achievement invites evaluation. If you stand among capable people, your abilities are measured. Your limits are visible. Your weaknesses are more easily seen. Evaluation leads to exposure. Exposure leads to shame. So instead of strengthening themselves to tolerate evaluation, they reduce exposure. They choose safety over development. Now let me ask you something. If someone truly believes in their worth, do they need to constantly ensure they are the most accomplished person present? Or can they tolerate being ordinary in one context and exceptional in another? True confidence has flexibility. It can admire without collapsing. It can compete without hatred. It can learn without feeling humiliated. Vulnerable narcissism struggles with this flexibility. There is also the matter of control. When you surround yourself with people of lower achievement, admiration becomes more likely, dependence becomes more likely, influence becomes easier. The power imbalance feels reassuring. If others look up to you, you do not have to look up to them. And looking up to someone can be very painful for a person who equates admiration with inferiority. Because admiration, in a healthy mind, includes recognition of another person's strength without diminishing oneself. But in a fragile mind, another person's strength feels like an accusation. It says, "You are not enough." And so, envy emerges. Envy is one of the most powerful emotions in narcissistic pathology. It is not simple jealousy. It is the painful awareness that someone possesses qualities or achievements that you desire, but feel unable to obtain. Instead of using envy as motivation, the vulnerable narcissistic personality often uses it as a signal to withdraw. It becomes easier to dismiss the successful person as arrogant, lucky, or superficial than to confront the feeling of inadequacy. Have you ever heard someone repeatedly criticize highly accomplished individuals while never placing themselves in similar company? That pattern is not random. Over time, however, something tragic occurs. By consistently avoiding high achievement environments, they also avoid challenge, and without challenge, there is no development. Without development, the underlying insecurity remains unchanged. So they remain the most accomplished person in a small circle, yet internally they feel empty. Here is the paradox. The more they avoid situations that threaten them, the more fragile they become, because deep inside, they know they are avoiding something. Avoidance does not remove fear, it preserves it. And so the cycle continues. They choose safety. They feel temporary relief. They remain underdeveloped. They encounter someone more accomplished. Shame returns. They retreat again. Let me speak directly to you now. If you are observing this pattern in someone close to you, do not mistake it for strength. It is not proof of superiority. It is a defense against shame. And if, as you listen, you recognize yourself in this description, I would urge you not to feel condemned. Awareness is not humiliation. It is the beginning of freedom. Ask yourself honestly, where am I avoiding comparison? Where am I choosing comfort over growth? Where do I feel intense envy that I have not examined? These questions are not meant to attack you. They are meant to open a door. Because real confidence is not built by standing above others. It is built by tolerating equality, by tolerating difference, by tolerating moments of inferiority without collapsing. It requires the capacity to say, this person is more accomplished than I am in this area, and that does not destroy me. That capacity is psychological maturity. And maturity is not given, it is developed. It develops when you allow yourself to enter rooms where you are not the most impressive person present, when you tolerate the discomfort, when you resist the impulse to withdraw or to devalue. Growth always involves exposure. So the next time you see someone who insists on being the biggest fish in a small pond, consider what might be happening beneath the surface. And if that pattern belongs to you, consider what might happen if you dared to swim in a larger ocean. The fear you avoid may be the very experience that would strengthen you. True stability does not come from comparison. It comes from integration, from accepting both your strengths and your limits. That is the work. And it is demanding, but it is also liberating. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I will see you in the next one.